You are watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco on Rider Nation Station, brought to you by these following fine sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Miller's Funeral Home, Eagles Lodge 767, Rabel's Auto Service, Plus One Professionals, Hoglace Equipment Rental, Midway Trailers, American Legion Post 323, Albert Sporting Goods, Family Ideology, Speckman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Spees Chiropractic, Varsity Lanes, Minster Bank, VFW Post 9289, and Quinary Pizzeria.
Hello and welcome to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco, where each week Rider Nation Station brings you local official Mark Cisco here to talk about clips from the previous week's game and other official related things around the state. So thank you for joining us as always, Mark.
Zach, it's always a pleasure to be here.
Mark, we had a couple submitted questions this week.
Okay.
First of all, somebody wanted to know, do you think that TV timeouts will come to high school football?
In fact, TV timeouts are here. There's a number of games that are played during the Thursday, Friday, Saturday that, depending on who's airing them, will have TV timeouts. And, of course, at the state championship games, there's TV timeouts where you have to deal with the red hat guy or lady, if you will, TV timeouts. So they're here. But unless the game is televised, I mean, I don't see that happening in the Western Buckeye League unless they would, for some reason, go to a game or something like that. It's always possible. And for me and for the kids, players, TV timeouts are a pain, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
It interrupts the flow of the game. Coaches sometimes like them because they get a chance for their kids to rest a bit and they get to talk to them, because that timeout is the same as any other charge timeout to a team. So they can go to the sideline and do all that good stuff. But I don't see that happening at the local level unless you happen to be part of a televised game somewhere.
Well, and I was at an Ohio State game recently, and I noticed it takes getting used to when you're at a live game. Oh, what are we waiting for? What's going on? Oh,
it's the red hat guy.
The guy with the hats on.
Yep.
Yep. But I guess with Rider Nation Station being sort of the first in the area doing live games, granted on streaming, maybe we'll have to talk to the athletic directors about.
Maybe you will. Maybe you will.
We'll have to have exclusive commercials then for some of those timeouts.
I foresee big fees involved in that, but who knows?
No, I think for the time being, we like to keep the flow as it is. So.
I agree.
Second question then was, somebody wanted to know if it's possible for a quarterback to have an illegal shift.
It is possible.
Or what's the difference between an illegal shift and illegal motion?
All right, illegal shift is normally where the team will set, and then you'll have let's say a back go in motion to the other side and set, and then maybe a different back, maybe a back or an end will go in motion. Normally you have to make sure everybody is set at least 1 second. I had that last week where the team set, and the team wasn't set more than a half a second, and the back went in motion, and they snapped the football. That kind of violation can be fixed by the team before the snap. If that man in motion would go and stop and be set for a second, then we're all good. But a quarterback, if he takes a step, a lot of times you'll see him come to the line of scrimmage, look over the offense or the defense, and then step forward to get a snap. If he takes the snap as soon as he steps forward, he's stopped and they snap it, that would be an illegal motion because he would be considered in motion at the snap. The Federation rules say that if a quarterback steps up and he's behind the center, got his hands down, and then he shifts, he ducks down to get the snap, and they snap it, that motion downward to get his hands underneath the center is considered a shift. In theory, he's got to be set for a second.
Wow.
Well, Ohio has said, as long as he doesn't move his feet, if he goes from an upright position to a down position, that is not to be considered an illegal shift or illegal motion. So,
okay. I was going to say, we haven't seen that called very much at
all.
No,
and St. Mary's does a nice job of it. The quarterback comes up, gets set, and he's down there. Now, are they on the edge? Yeah, they're on the edge a little bit, but it's normally at least a second, but it's not real long. So he's good, and we're told if the quarterback goes from an up position to down and is not moving his feet, leave it be.
Well, I usually think it probably happens a lot with QB sneaks near the goal line.
QB sneaks is where they like to pull it. Yes, that's absolutely correct. So Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and I also thought about one that would be like a quarterback that's in shotgun formation.
Sure.
Maybe like getting ready to run towards the line in a sneak situation.
Yeah, and that situation, depending on the quarterback, if they're taking a step forward at the snap, you have to really get into the flow to call something like that. If it's a jab step, yeah, we've got maybe a false start. If he never really comes set and is walking forward at the snap, yes, you're going to get him. But a lot of times you'll see a quarterback that's stationary, and he yells, snap or whatever, and he's taking that step just as the ball starts, you're going to leave that go.
Gotcha. Well, Mark, we're going to jump right into the clips here.
Okay.
We've got a few clips from the game on Friday night against Kenton.
Okay.
This first one here, this was sort of a viewer submission. Somebody wanted me to ask about whether this was a legal hurdle or not by our fullback. We've talked about this before. And I think we talked about there has to be 3 points of contact on the ground. It's over his own player, though.
Well, it's over his own player. That's not going to be a problem.
Okay.
He's over his own player there. That's not a problem. If he'd have jumped on the lineman that's on the ground at about the 24, 23 line, right there, he's jumping over his own guy. That's not a problem at all.
Okay.
That's not a problem at all. If a player is laying on the ground and he jumps over a defensive player, that's fine. Normally you see a hurdle called when the player, the running back, normally tries to jump over a player that is not down on the ground, doesn't have anything other than hand or feet on the ground. So if you got a player that's standing up, crouching, ready to make the tackle, and the running back goes over him, that's a hurdle. If that player making the tackle is down on one knee, it's not a problem.
Gotcha.
Because he's basically, it's the same as laying flat on the ground.
Okay.
So,
and we didn't have as many clips that I shared today, but there were several times because Kenton, as I was telling Joe during the broadcast, likes to dive at the ground right off of the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
So there were several hurdles at the line of scrimmage, but it seemed like everybody was laying down pretty
and coaches normally tell their kids, don't jump over anybody, because it takes away from the power and the run and everything, but sometimes you have to.
Right, especially when a trap in the middle like that.
Correct.
So. Looking a little bit at the next play, we had a nice play made by the Kenton quarterback. I know some of the fans from St. Mary's thought his knee maybe had been on the ground, but looking at the replay here, it looks just like a nice play there as he's falling to the ground.
It did look like he got the ball away before the knee hit the ground. He's an athletic kid. Kenton seems to grow quarterbacks over there. He's probably not quite as athletic as some we've seen in the past, but he's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a couple more years, and he's just going to get better as time goes along.
So good completion there. The next play we had was just a sort of a simple face mask. St. Mary's running back coming on a little counter here through, and we see the face mask right there. His head sort of whips around, and the flag comes in.
Umpire, I think, gets that. The head coming around is a dead giveaway. Now, sometimes the head will go because they've got a hold of the helmet, not necessarily fingers inside any of the openings, and that'll make it look weird. But he must have had sight of the face mask.
It was harder to see in our huddle view here, but in our regular broadcast, if anybody watches it, we were able to slow it down with some instant replay and see it pretty obvious too.
Good deal. Good call.
This next play here was a nice pass from the Kenton quarterback. Unfortunately, it looked like the Kenton's receiver was just out of bounds with his foot there on the line. Figured there'd be some fans out there that wanted to see it and make sure it was the right call.
It looks like it's the right call from here. The official down the line's got a good look at it. What I'd like to see the official do, though, is be stopped when he makes the call. He's still moving at the time the play happens. If he's stopped, the eyes aren't moving or anything else, but it's the right call. So he did a nice job looking down the line and taking care of that.
Yeah, and it's a nice athletic catch there on the line, but high school football got to keep that foot that you come down on completely in bounds.
At least one
right?
foot down, yep.
I don't even want to get into the toes and heels from the Bengals game the other day. Just a simple encroachment call here. I believe it's on the D end on the far side of the field. You can see the officials give him plenty of time to move back, and then they call the play.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's a tough angle for us to really see, but he gave him a little shot to move back, and just as the ball was snapped, we can't let that go, and he's hands on the flag already, so it's coming out, and it was just a matter of when. So good call there.
Okay, so this was an interesting one. I think this is where the. No, we didn't. This was not the call. We're gonna look here in a second. The Kenton's coach got himself in a little hot
Okay,
water.
well, we'll save that one for later.
This was where St. Mary's sort of jumped, like maybe they encroached, but it wasn't called.
Okay.
And then Kenton's left tackle jumps with a little bit of a false start.
Boy, it sure looked like that. I mean, the Kenton kids thought so. But, the official is looking right down the line. And, we're standing up right there. Did he go? Did he not? Maybe not. Maybe not. And then the Kenton kid decides to move early, and away we go. And, yeah, that's a tough spot. But, the officials normally are right on it because they're looking right down the line, and they would have got that, should have got that had he been over the top of the football.
Big fourth down, too.
Sure.
And I think it was interesting. I think if the Kenton player would have actually jumped while the guy was doing it, they may have gotten the call.
He
jumped afterwards.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe not. This isn't the college. Now, the college rule is that if the defender comes in and crosses the neutral zone and it causes the O lineman to jump or react, then it's on the defense. Now, if the defensive lineman in college gets there over the ball and then gets back and nobody moves, we got nothing. So a little different rule in college versus high school.
High school is supposed to be, if you're in that zone at all, it's supposed to be called.
It's dead ball right now.
Right.
Yeah. So apparently he wasn't there, and then the Kenton tackle moved, and an easy call on the false start on Kenton.
Okay. Well, this next play was a fumble by the Kenton quarterback. A little tough to see in our replay, but the ball kind of squirts out there at the end, and the official's in the right spot. So.
Yep.
We were able to, and again, this is another one we were able to slow it down with a little bit of a close-up view in the broadcast and sort of see that it did look like the ball was moving out before.
The umpire's got a bag
landed
on the ground, bean bag, which signifies he thought it was a fumble. So, yeah, then it's just a matter of who's going to come up with it. And nobody came in to take him off of it as if, forward progress has stopped or he was down. So, yeah, good job by the officials there.
This next play was a block in the back call against St. Mary's. It's sort of going to be right in the backfield. You can see 62 right there, sort of pushing the guy down.
We've got all kinds of stuff going on there. Let's take a look at that again if we can.
Sort of a classic St. Mary's sweep.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. But, a lot of things happen in there. And I don't know, did they call him for a block in the back or did they call for a chop block or something like that? Do you recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. Looks like there's some bodies around there. The flag's already out. It's hard to tell what went on.
Would the yardage have been different if it was block in the back?
Block in the back is 10. A chop block would have been 15.
Okay.
So
I don't think they moved him back quite 15. I think
okay. Well,
10,
a block in the back's awful tough to call right in there because the ball's in there. A lot of stuff's going on. So it would have had to have been way after the ball had left the free blocking zone, and maybe it did. It did.
Well, this was the start of the Kenton coach getting himself in a little bit of hot water. There was the tight end on the far side of the field for St. Mary's, who I think clearly jumped a little bit early on the snap, but that was not called. Kenton coach sort of gets into the side judge's ear a little bit about it, and then he gets a sideline warning from it. So we're going to watch it right there. If you watch the far tight end for St. Mary's, see just a little bit of
a hitch there, a little bit of a hitch, and he's got the flag out right now, and they hit him with a sideline warning at that point.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's.
First, we thought maybe it was going to be a unsportsmanlike conduct or.
Yeah. They were jumping, and they wanted it because St. Mary's runs for the first down there.
Right.
And I get that. Maybe it sure looked like it could have been a. Let's just see it one more time. See if we can tell when the ball moves. And nope, the ball was dead still. That should have been a false start. Yep.
Yeah, and
I
it didn't
agree.
help that Kenton was down, I think, 28-0 at this point. So they're
a little frustration going on
frustrated
there.
anyway.
Yep.
That led to this next play. Then we see just the start of this play. So we're starting the very next play, and the top of your screen there, you see the flag fall down, and
It's interesting because the linesman over there, he's killing it, okay, and he signals unsportsmanlike conduct to the referee. But then he points to the St. Mary's
direction.
What he really means is he's tagging the bench because the coaches are probably right there in his left ear as he's as he's, and they probably said something and he'd had enough.
It was confusing at first because when I saw him point back, I could see the coach in his ear, and then I saw him throw the flag, and so I was pretty sure that's what he was calling. But then when I saw him point backwards, I thought, oh no, did one of the St. Mary's
kids
do something?
That's probably not the case. So that probably cost him 15.
It
I
did.
would imagine. Yep.
It did.
Yep.
It cost him 15, and we moved right down the field.
Sure.
This was a couple calls later. I'm not sure exactly what the call was, but it was a sort of a high-low block that they called right there.
Right there in the middle. Chop block is what they called. So somebody came in down low, which they can do right away, and then we have 77
yep.
driving that defender over the top of the St. Mary's kid that was already on the ground in contact with
I think it was the center shooting out,
Yep.
and then the tackle coming up over the top.
Yep, that's what happened there. That's probably a mix-up in blocking, and they caught him for it, and that's an easy call right there. That's going to be called a chop block. That's coming back, and it's cost St. Mary's 15 yards.
This next play then was holding on 27, which is the wing back for St. Mary's. So if you see him right there at the top of the line, you can see the guy just kind of gets twisted around, and every time there's somebody gets spun around, they kind of got to call
he's
that.
right in front of the linesman out there, and it's like, you know what? That's where he's going to look, because the running back's running free, so he's looking and looking and looking, and he'll give him a chance to let him go. But when he didn't at the critical time, you're going to get a hold call.
Unfortunately, big run called back there, but. That's something, 27, that's Osborne. He's a sophomore, so he'll learn from that.
He'll learn from that one, yeah.
Once the guy starts to pull away, let him go.
Let him go. Let him go.
Okay, so I'm glad we talked about illegal shift and illegal motion.
Okay.
Because that was a little bit of foreshadowing what we had here.
Okay.
They called an illegal motion on the wide receiver up at the top of your screen. You can see he wasn't set, I think, when the ball was snapped.
All right. Can you just let it run there, technical guy? Let's just see what happens here.
This was
just let it run.
Number 4.
Clear at the top.
Yep, Keegan Sharp at the top of your screen.
Still moving. Oh, he never got set.
Right. So would that be illegal shift or illegal motion?
That would be an illegal shift.
Okay.
Technically, because when they're in the huddle, you come out of the huddle, that's considered a shift. Now, he never stopped moving, and you got the backs going down. He never stopped. Everybody wasn't set for a second. So that was an easy call. Mm-hmm. And, he needs to – the quarterback, I don't know who you blame that on, the quarterback or the receiver not getting out there quick enough and get set, or whatever.
Probably a little bit of both.
Probably a little bit of both.
Hey, get yourself out there, get set, and, hey, quarterback, make sure your wide receivers are set before
I had the same situation Friday night, and – in my game, the quarterback caught the brunt of the coach's ire for something like that. So he just didn't wait long enough for him to get set.
Unfortunately, that was a 20, 25-yard pass that was called back from it. So.
Yep.
And then finally, Mark, we finally have one where we can actually see a good view of the encroachment.
Oh, yeah. It looks like yep. There's no doubt about it. And, again, we're going to wait. And, he might have been talking to that player all night and just finally said, no, I've had enough of this, and we're over the football. So, yep, we're done.
And both sides call it too. So
it was easy looking
Easy
through.
to see.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you for looking at the clips with us, Mark.
Appreciate it.
Want to bring up a very exciting thing. Next Wednesday, so
Cool.
next week's show at 7:30 p.m. is going to be live from Guarneri's.
Nice.
Great sponsor, Guarneri's Pizza and Pub. And we're excited to bring you a live Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco next Wednesday, 7:30. Everybody, please tune in live. And if
show up, bring your
show
questions,
up,
right?
Yeah, any questions that we have, we love having that. So
Absolutely.
We'll see everybody next Wednesday live at Guarneri's for Rules of the Game. Until then, so long, everybody.
You are watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco on Rider Nation Station. Brought to you by these following fine sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Miller's Funeral Home, Eagles Lodge 767, Rabel's Auto Service, Plus One Professionals, Oglaze Equipment Rental, Midway Trailers, American Legion Post 323, Albert Sporting Goods, Family Ideology, Speckman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Speeds Chiropractic, Varsity Lanes, Minster Bank, PFW Post 9289, and Guarneri Pizzeria. Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.